Hello, everyone. This is Inside the Americas. Coming up in today's show. The United States still in shock over the death of NBA legend Kobe Bryant in a helicopter crash. A new twist in the Trump impeachment trial as allegations from former National Security Advisor John Bolton come out ahead of his tell-all book. And we'll take you to California, the state with the highest homeless population in the U.S., to see the many parking lots opening up now to house people forced to live in their cars. I'm Jeannie Godula. This week, the U.S. was rocked by the tragic death of NBA legend Kobe Bryant. The 41-year-old basketball star was killed in a helicopter crash alongside his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna. Tributes have poured in from the worlds of politics, sports, entertainment, and from those who knew him well. Cami Nedelec has the story.
Briefly brought together by tragedy, the U.S. Senate opened Monday's session of Donald Trump's impeachment trial with a prayer for Kobe Bryant and his daughter following their deaths in a helicopter crash this weekend.
As millions mourn the deaths of Kobe and Gianna Bryant and those who died with them, we think about life's brevity, uncertainty, and legacy.
Fans at the Staples Center in LA continued to leave tributes to the pair and commemorated Bryant's glittering career at the Lakers. The basketball legend became one of the NBA's top ever scorers. His opponents remember him as formidable.
Every time it was a tough fight. He was an outstanding player and the hardest to stop. It took a lot of strategy to stop him from beating us.
At Bryant's old high school, where a gym is named after him, students past and present gathered at a makeshift memorial to pay homage to a former classmate who became a legend. As well as to honor 13-year-old Gianna, they had been flying to one of her basketball tournaments, a passion father and daughter shared.
She had so much talent. She was going to be a star, and she knew that she didn't need to be a guy to follow in her father's legacy.
She was the next female Kobe.
Also killed in the crash were 7 other people, including one of Gianna's teammates and 2 basketball coaches.
And as the tributes pour in for Kobe Bryant, many people want to make sure the ugly side of the player's story isn't buried as well. Bryant was the subject of rape allegations some 15 years ago, which were settled out of court for an undisclosed amount of money. The storm over how to pay tribute to a flawed legend began with a tweet by a Washington Post reporter saying any public figure is worth remembering in their totality, both the beloved and the upsetting parts. That tweet got the reporter suspended, but then quickly reinstated days later. Her tweet, though, also received thousands of abusive threats. Next, the impeachment trial of U.S. President Donald Trump took a new turn this week in the form of a tell-all book from former National Security Advisor John Bolton. The yet-to-be-published manuscript is filled with some shocking details. Bolton claims Donald Trump directly ordered to withhold aid to Ukraine until Kiev announced investigations into his political rivals. That's a direct contradiction of the president's account. The news has more and more Republican senators now saying they're open to hearing from witnesses. Catherine Viette explains.
A bombshell from Bolton about the president's actions dealing with Ukraine. In a new book from the former National Security Advisor, John Bolton recounts a conversation in which Trump told him directly that he wanted to continue withholding nearly $400 million in security aid to Ukraine until Kiev carried out investigations into his political rival Joe Biden and son Hunter. Bolton's account refutes Trump's claim that there was no quid pro quo. It also has upended the president's defense that no one can directly tie Trump to the aid holdup in exchange for a political favor. Trump's lawyers scrambled to explain away Bolton's allegations.
Nothing in the Bolton revelations, even if true, would rise to the level of an abuse of power or an impeachable offense. That is clear from the language of the Constitution. You cannot turn conduct that is not impeachable into impeachable conduct simply by using words like quid pro quo and personal benefit.
But Bolton's claims have breathed new life into the Democrats' argument for calling witnesses during the trial. Bolton has already said he's willing to testify if subpoenaed.
It's been the Democratic priority since this trial started to have witnesses like Bolton and Mick Mulvaney come forward and testify under oath. The president has been trying to block that, and Republican senators seemed like they were going to go along with the White House on that, and now there seems to be at least a little bit of wiggle room.
Trump himself has lashed out at Bolton on Twitter.
Why didn't John Bolton complain about this nonsense a long time ago when he was very publicly terminated? He said, not that it matters, nothing.
One thing is clear, Bolton's book has delivered a plot twist to the trial.
Next now to the U.S. state of California that's in the midst of a major housing crisis. One of the consequences of that crisis, thousands of people are now living in their cars. California accounts for almost half of the homeless population in the United States. Some cities there are now opening up parking lots where the homeless can more securely spend the night. Monty Francis explains.
This is the end of the road for thousands of people in California. In front of this library in San Diego, each car represents someone's home.
This is where I eat and I sleep.
Michelle Lewis is a child care worker, and it's her day off.
Charge our phones and stuff like that. Some of us take naps, because the daytime is sort of kind of safe right here.
Greg Simmons works as a delivery man, but doesn't make enough money to afford rent.
Studio, that's just a one-bedroom, a bath, a sink, and a toilet. That's starting at $1,200, and I'm making $1,067 just flat.
Living in your car isn't easy to manage, nor is it welcome in San Diego or Los Angeles. Gary Harris is formerly homeless and now owns 13 minivans that he parks at Venice Beach.
So here's one of mine. Here's another one. And here's another one.
He rents each of his vans for $300 a month, or about 280 euros. A mattress, some space, and a golden rule. The parking area stays clean.
I tell them, regardless of who has the garbage out there, it's your responsibility to clean. And look, it's clean. All my vans are like this.
Only Gary keeps the keys to the vans. He doesn't have to pay for spaces on these streets, but parking is regulated by the city.
Let's see, the one that I need to move.
The vans have to be moved every 3 days. If not, they will be towed. It's against local ordinances to sleep in your car, but Harris is challenging those rules in court.
The courts say to the LAPD, you can't enforce your own ordinance because these people are living in their homes and you can't tow their home away.
Harris moves the vans within a 1 to 2 kilometer area in the neighborhood, and not everyone is happy about it.
I called the police on one of his clients because the guy was defecating and urinating in front of my...
Totally false. Making it up. That's what they do. They make up stories about the van people.
You're going to have to shut up for a minute.
Thousands of cars that no one wants parked on their street. In San Diego, a temporary solution. This parking lot between a highway and a subdivision set aside just for people to sleep in their cars. At night, the parking lot is not just a place to sleep. There's a toilet and a refrigerator on the ground.
Fridge, of course, where we can store our fridge stuff so we don't have our milks and stuff go bad, while we're living in the cars. It's kind of a help out.
The parking is free. The homeless can come on the nights they want to. Tim Bradford is in charge of security. In the morning, he makes sure that everyone clears out of the lot.
The neighborhood don't like to have people here all day. They'd rather they have them just sleep here and then go get out by a certain time. So,
as some people head off to work, others leave to find yet another place to park.
Our number of the week is this one, 7.7. That's the magnitude of the earthquake that struck in the Caribbean Sea between Jamaica and eastern Cuba this week. The quake sent tremors through an area ranging from Mexico to Florida and beyond. There were fortunately no reports of casualties or heavy damage. Let's take a look now at some other news for you this week from the Americas. And authorities in Brazil say the death toll following days of intense storms and flooding in the country's southeast has risen to at least 44. Some 17,000 people have been forced to leave their homes. Other victims have been buried by landslides or in the debris of collapsed houses. The torrential rains marked the worst since records were first kept 110 years ago. Despite rains easing off, authorities fear there could be more landslides this week. A judge in Peru has ordered opposition leader Keiko Fujimori to return to prison amid investigations into corruption. Fujimori stands accused of taking more than $1 million in illegal campaign funds from the Brazilian construction giant Odebrecht in 2011. Charges she denies. 44-year-old Fujimori was released from 13 months of pretrial detention in November, but anti-corruption prosecutors appealed the decision. And Bolivia's interim president, Janine Áñez, swore in new government ministers this week after ordering members of her first cabinet to resign. The shakeup comes after the former senator announced her candidacy last week for upcoming elections. The decision sparked a backlash in the country after she'd previously ruled out running and said her only objective was to take the country to transparent new elections. Well, that's all the time we have for this Inside the Americas. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon for all the news from north to south.
Fake news. Noun. False stories that appear to be news, spread on the internet or using other media. At France 24, our job is to provide you with information that's been verified. We check sources, we check facts, we sort what is true from what is fake.
At the France 24 Observers, we verify photos and videos circulating online. If they're fake, we let you know and tell you how we spotted them.
In Fact or Fake, we dig into viral stories around Europe to shake out the truth from the trash.
Every day, the Info Migrants team scours social networks to fight fake news about the reality of migration.
France 24, news based on facts.
Liberté, égalité, actualité.